Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Community Journal. We are so very glad that you've joined us. We've got an interesting show today, but we know we're in winter now.
Yes, we do. Many multi-layers are on us today.
That's for sure. I recorded a low of 5 degrees this morning at our location, but we're lucky because out in Minneapolis, there were 24 degrees below zero.
And that was the real temperature.
That
That
was
wasn't with the wind chill.
That wasn't wind chill. That was the real temperature. And if you put a banana out in that temperature, you can then use it as a hammer. That's how cold it is. It's true.
I know.
If you take a dozen eggs in that temperature and just throw them onto the sidewalk, they become hard rocks,
And they actually bounce.
and they bounce around like yeah.
Yes.
So that's so we're lucky.
Yes, we are. Yes. We're warm, relatively speaking.
Yes, we are. That's for sure.
Compared to the Midwest.
Oh my goodness. So we have a lot of announcements. So get your pencils and paper because there's a lot going on. So
Yes, there is. Here we are, almost into February, and there's a lot going on, as usual.
yeah. So Eileen, you want to start off?
Yes, I might as well.
You might as well.
Yes. Healthy aging. Community survey. Barnstable County's Healthy Aging Project and your town councils on aging want to learn more about people's plans and needs as they age. The survey is open to all Barnstable County residents. What do you think? They want to know. So fill out a paper copy available at your COA. There's also a way to do it online, but to give you the HTTPS would take forever. And there's a lot of forward slashes and dots and dashes. So I think the best thing to do would be to go to your COA, get the paper copy and fill it out and send it into them.
Very good. Thanks, Eileen. The Cape Cod Cooperative Extension offers a lot of very good programs. We know some folks that have taken some things there,
Yes.
and they rave about the quality of the programs there. And here is one also to consider. This is called Helping Others Learn to Grow. In the spirit of this motto, the Backyard Horticulture is a multi-week educational program on all topics related to gardening. And gardening is really important here on the Cape. A lot
Yes,
of
it
people
is.
like to garden. And this course is actually an 8-week course, and it's being held right here at the Community Center on Fridays, February 1st through March 29th, from 1 to 4 p.m. And the program fee is $75, and advanced mail-in registration is necessary. So I'm sure you probably can get a form here. I'm pretty sure you can. But you definitely can call. There is a phone number you can call, 508-375-6638. That's 508-375-6638. And you'll learn a lot about gardening, soils, annuals, herbs, perennials, vegetables, insects, do's and don'ts. So, I mean, that sounds like a good course.
It does. It sounds very interesting, especially for people who belong to a garden club or just like to garden on their own.
Right, very good. You have another one?
I do.
Oh, good.
Yes. The Cape Cod Theater Company, home of the Harwich Junior Theater, is presenting their new play, and it is Freaky Friday. It begins February 15th and will go through March 17th. So I believe that includes school vacation week as well. And if you don't know what Freaky Friday is about, it's a mother and daughter, a teenage daughter, swap bodies and perspectives. It is going to be a hilarious contemporary tale of an overworked mother and a teenage daughter who magically swap bodies and spend a madcap 24 hours dealing with the challenges in each other's lives. This new musical is based on the beloved 1972 novel by Mary Rogers and the hit Disney films and was developed by Disney Theatrical Productions. The show features a book by Bridget Carpenter, who also did the book for Friday Night Lights and Parenthood, and music and lyrics by Tom Kitt and Brian Yorkie, the Pulitzer Prize-winning composers of Next to Normal and If/Then. By spending a day in each other's shoes, Mom Catherine and daughter Ellie come to appreciate one another's struggles, learn self-acceptance, and realize the immeasurable love and mutual respect that bond a mother and daughter, all while giving the audience a lot of laughs. All that in 24 hours. Wow, that is magical.
It sure is. And,
I could have used that about 20 years ago.
and as usual, the Cape Cod Theater Company, home of the Harwich Junior Theater, do a great job.
Yes, they do, and they have some wonderful people in the cast. It will open, as I said, on February 15th and run at 7 p.m. on Fridays and at 2 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays right through March 17th. And there will be an additional show on Thursday, February 21st, which is school vacation week, at 7 p.m., and no show on Saturday, February 23rd.
Very good.
Yes, so if you're interested and you'd like to purchase tickets, you can call Ovation Tix from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays at 866-811-4111, or the box office at the theater itself on Wednesdays from noon to 2 p.m. And 2 hours prior to all performances, you can call 508-432-2002.
Very good. And right practically around the corner from that theater is the little library that could and can and do.
And does, yes.
And does, right. The Chase Library in West Harwich will welcome New Bedford author Catherine McLaughlin on Tuesday, February 19th at 2 p.m. to discuss her novel, Blue Collars. Blue Collars is a compelling story about growing up during the late 50s and 60s in a New Bedford working class family. And of course, the city of New Bedford at that time had a lot of mills and a lot of three-family homes and
a lot of immigrants.
A lot of immigrants, right. And this is a very compelling story. And, you know, the family, toward the end, there's a terrible secret that haunts this girl's childhood. So I don't know what that's about, but it sounds intriguing. This program is free and open to the public, and you can call Chase Library for more details at 508-432-2410. That's 508-432-2410. Parking is behind Viera Restaurant next to the library. So that sounds like an intriguing,
yes.
Yeah, very intriguing talk. And a great author. I guess she's done a great job on that book. Well, we have our first clip today now. We're going to have the Harwich Conservation Trust update, and Dinah sat down with Michael and Tyler. So let's take a look and see what's going on at Harwich Conservation Trust.
Hello. I'm here today with Michael Locke and Tyler Maycath of the Harwich Conservation Trust. And we are going to hear about a lot of different things, but starting, I believe, with osprey.
Yes, yes, ospreys. That raptor that we know and love that returns in mid-March-ish to the Cape and heads back down south September, October. Tyler's going to share a very interesting new osprey platform or nesting distribution monitoring effort.
Yeah, so for years, Mass Audubon and an international organization called Osprey Watch have been monitoring the health of osprey populations. And ospreys are a pretty interesting bird. They were heavily impacted by the effects of DDT, which had the effect of thinning their eggshells, which caused them to break. So like many other large birds, their populations were very decimated by the mid-1960s until the ban of DDT occurred. They occur all throughout the world, on every continent except Antarctica. There's a nice photo of osprey carrying sticks. Their nests can weigh several hundred pounds. And as we all know, they have taken to nesting on artificial nesting platforms all around our state and in Harwich. There are natural nests, but many of the nests can be easily observed because they're on platforms. So we recently decided that we would kick off doing some monitoring of the health of the osprey populations in Harwich. And to that end, recruiting volunteers to go out and monitor nesting ospreys during the nesting season, which begins early April and wraps up sometime in July.
So would those people be monitoring osprey on the platforms only or on their own trees or other places they might find them?
Yeah, so we do have some data on existing nesting platforms in the town. So the first step will be to verify those locations, which we'll be doing prior to monitoring. And then if there are wild nests that people are aware of, and there may well be around Long Pond and that area, we could monitor those too to the best of our ability, but focusing mostly on artificial nesting structures because those are easy to observe.
Yes, yeah, I would think they'd be more controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because we have an osprey that appears on the top of a tall tree right on our pond on a pretty regular basis.
Nice.
But that, I don't know what you'd be exactly looking for, or whether you'd want us to be monitoring. But it would be interesting to find out more about
Yeah.
that. So if people are interested in doing that, should they get in touch with the trust? Is that
Right.
the idea?
Yeah, we're having a information meeting at the community center on March 4th at 10 a.m.
Okay,
in the playroom.
okay. March 4th. Okay, good.
And
right.
folks can email us or call us with more information about the program.
Okay, great. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it should be
Okay.
fun.
Good. And then you wanted to talk about Cornelius Pond.
Yeah, great
The
news.
fabulous news.
Yes, the
Yes.
15-acre Cornelius Pond Woodlands project. Folks have been following it right along, supporting it in very generous ways. So we're pleased to report that, and there's a great aerial photo taken by Chris Simmons of Zygote Digital Films, who did the aerial drone filming of that property when we were spreading the word just about a year and a half ago about our fundraising campaign. You could see the extent of shoreline, more than 1,000 feet of shoreline along almost the entire westerly shore of Cornelius Pond, and stretching back from there. Beautiful mix of habitats. There's forest and wetland and interior meadow there.
Meadow, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So we had $850,000 to raise. That's a nice photo of the meadow. And we're pleased to report we accomplished our goal thanks to the support of so many individuals and families and couples and foundations and businesses. Even town meeting voters stepped up to contribute $200,000 in Community Preservation Act open space funds by virtue of a unanimous town meeting vote last May. And then to bring us over the finish line, a state conservation partnership grant was awarded to the trust recently. We applied for that grant back in July, and we just heard about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, put
So
you right over the top.
Yeah, congratulations everybody.
fabulous,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're working on the stewardship steps next, which include engineering for parking lot placement and creation of a trail loop, installation of a interpretive kiosk. So stay tuned. Hopefully open a trail end of this year or sometime in early 2020.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
yeah,
That's quick work.
yeah. So it's a wonderful project to be involved in, and it's really thanks to the help of so many.
Yeah. Oh, it would be a wonderful resource
Yeah.
for everybody. Okay,
We're
great.
very excited.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, so what's next on your agenda?
Annual herring count, believe it or not.
herring.
It's
Yes,
the end of
that's right.
January, early February, but boy, we're looking ahead to our spring citizen science project. So Tyler's going to share about the herring count.
Yeah, so as soon as our the water temperatures in the Herring River are about 50 degrees, we're going to start to see some fish moving up into their spawning ponds. There's a nice photo of some herring in the river. Herring are anadromous fish, and they spend the majority of their lives in the saltwater environment.
Excuse me, what did you say? They're a what fish?
Anadromous, yeah.
Anadromous?
Yep.
Can you
It's-
define that?
Sure, yeah. They spend most of their lives in the saltwater environment in the ocean, and then they migrate to spawn in freshwater ponds and rivers.
Yes. I never knew the word for that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's an incredible migration that they make every year. Hundreds of thousands of fish just in the Herring River alone, of two species, blueback and alewife. And we have been doing volunteer counts of herring for many years. We have herring counters count for 10-minute intervals. It's a very minimal time commitment. The data that we collect is submitted to the state, and it dovetails nicely with the electronic counting that's also happening at the Bell's Neck Fish Ladder, which is pretty neat. I encourage people to check that out also. But it can be a pretty incredible experience to see hundreds of fish in just a matter of minutes. So
What are the locations that people are watching for the herring? Various locations?
There's one location, and if you'd like to find out where we count, I encourage you to attend our annual Herring Count kickoff meeting, which will be here at on March 19th at 3:30 p.m. in the multipurpose room.
Okay.
And Dr. Joanne Muramoto from APCC will also be there to present on some scientific findings for the status of the herring populations on Cape Cod.
Okay, so they won't be counting before March 19th.
No, the fish
That's-
don't really start migrating until typically the first week of April, but it depends on
I
water
see.
temperatures.
Right, right, okay. That sounds fabulous. And these
a
are
lot of
all things on your website to tell
we'll
people?
be sending an email out to our
Members.
our members, and also posting something on the website. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And there might be something in the papers too,
Yes.
Good,
But the
because
annual.
people do pick things up in the paper as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
At the
okay.
annual kickoff meeting. Yep.
And also on the community center calendar.
Okay, lots of ways to find out about this. Okay,
Yes,
great.
thanks.
We have winter talks. We're
Winter
right in our winter
talks.
talk
That's
season,
right.
folks.
We
hope.
are in winter, aren't we?
Yeah, we hope if you haven't joined us already for one of our very interesting topics and engaging speakers on selected Saturdays in January, come on down in February. We have this great one on February 2nd, Discovering Dragonflies and Damselflies with Harwich's very own Blair Nicola. So Blair is actually the co-author of the Stokes Beginner's Guide to Dragonflies and Damselflies and the Field Guide to the Dragonflies and Damselflies of Massachusetts. So we've got a real homegrown expert here, and he's an amazing photographer too. He's also an avid birder.
Is that one of his pictures?
That's
there?
one of his photos, yeah,
Gorgeous.
and we're going to see a lot more on Saturday. Again, 2 p.m. is when these winter talks take place. Suggested donation of $5 per person.
And are those at your,
Right here in the community center.
at the community
Yeah,
center?
in the
Okay.
multi-purpose room.
Okay, all right.
Yep, and 2 p.m. and come on down. There's no advance reservations necessary.
Okay.
And it's going to be fascinating. We're going to learn all about the natural history of dragonflies and damselflies, including life stages, mating, behavior, predation, and migration. It's actually, they're part of a group called Odonata, the damselflies and dragonflies, and they've been around since the Triassic period of the dinosaur age. So 250 million years.
They
It's
look
amazing.
kind of ancient. don't
Yeah, and
they? Sort of like the horseshoe crab.
right, that's right, yeah, right. So it's going to be really interesting to hear and see Blair's work.
Yes, I should think so.
And he'll
That
have
sounds like a great
some
one.
beginner guides available for sale too.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Sounds fabulous.
And then we've got some great other winter talks coming up. You can see all those on our website, harwichconservationtrust.org. But Tyler and I and all the volunteers involved are very excited also about the 13th annual Live Owl programs coming up on March 9th. We're just giving you a little bit more advance notice about
Okay.
that one.
Oh,
Because some folks like to reserve in advance on our website. It's $5 for ages 5 to 11. Under age 5 is not recommended for. But ages 12 and up is $10 each. We've kept that price the same for every year over the past 13 years. Try and keep it reasonable for folks. That's Mark and Marcia Wilson, the couple, the naturalist educators. They've got a Eurasian eagle owl there perched next to Mark, and a snowy owl, of course, next to Marcia. These are owls that can't be released back into the wild for a variety of reasons, including some injuries which prevent them from living on their own. But Marcia and Mark carry special state and federal permits which allow them to care for these owls throughout their natural lifespans, and then bring them as educational ambassadors to groups such as the audience says that will be part of our 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Saturday, March 9th live owl programs. And as you
Also
can
at the community center?
yeah, right in the gymnasium.
Yeah.
And there's the Eurasian eagle owl. That's the largest owl in the world by weight. Quite a sizable owl. You can see some resemblances there to our local great horned owl. So it's really an amazing program. People never tire of it. And I mean, you hear owls sometimes right at night, or you might see them
Yes,
in a
yes,
fleeting
I do.
glimpse in the evening, a silhouette. But here, you really get to see these owls up close and personal. So we hope folks can join us.
And that date is?
Saturday, March 9th. Again, right on our website,
March 9th. Okay.
harwichconservationtrust.org are the details.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Good.
it'll be fun.
Yeah. Okay. So anything else on your mind?
Oh, we
Before
can.
we wrap up?
We'll see you next month. Yeah, join us for these winter talks. In the meantime, on selected Saturdays. Again, check out the website for details.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all kinds of things: osprey sightings and herring countings and owl observation. Right? Sounds and dragonflies. And that's this Saturday.
That's right, February
Yep,
2nd.
yep.
Yes.
Well, it's all wonderful, and congratulations again on all your hard work on the Cornelius Pond event and fundraising. And the fact that it's going to be moving on is very exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. Thanks to everybody
Having it
involved.
really accessible to people now would be great.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so
Diana.
much. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Dan.
You know, I can't say it enough, but they are, first of all, so knowledgeable.
Oh, I know.
And secondly, the photography is
Oh,
just
you
amazing.
Always mention the pictures, and we do. We just sit in awe looking at them.
Yeah,
They are just
yeah.
beautifully done.
Yeah, just we're very, very lucky, really. They do a wonderful job.
Yes, they do.
And I'm so glad to see that the owl show is coming back.
I
mean, that's
know.
always a great take.
Yeah,
and,
we've been to it a couple of times. It's
yeah,
really
it's
a good
really
take.
wonderful. So if you
Yeah.
get a chance, that's March 9th, I think they
Yes,
said.
it is.
If you can, definitely go to that. It's well worth it. It's a lot of fun to see these owls up close. Because as he said, you know, normally you don't see them. You might just a fleeting glance in the wild, but you don't see them up close like that. So well worth the take, that's for sure. Here is another very, very important thing that periodically here on the Cape, there is a blood drive that is sponsored by Cape Cod Healthcare and the Blood Donor Center, Nicholas Zaros. You know, there are accidents, obviously, which we hate to see, and blood is needed. And there's going to be a blood drive on Wednesday, February 27th, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. right here at the community center. So it's convenient, and you know, it's something that you should really consider doing, because every pint of blood that is donated here stays here on the Cape.
And that's so important.
So we really benefit from that. We really do.
Yeah.
And, you know, and if you do donate, you get a complimentary movie pass. So that's a great deal.
Yes, it is.
It is a great
Yeah.
deal. So it's a new way to give back.
Nice incentive.
And the Bloodmobile will be here right out in front. And again, that's Wednesday, February 27th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. right here. So that's that one.
Yes. And on a different note,
Yes.
and you'll see why I said that in a minute. It's a good segue, too. If you're looking for a midwinter blaster, I have a suggestion for you. On Friday, February 15th, from 6 to 8 p.m., right here at the Harwich Community Center on Oak Street, there is going to be a free dance. Get it on a different note? Boom, boom. Anyway, it's featuring the live big band music of the Sound Dunes, and we have seen them, and they are great. There's going to be complimentary desserts and refreshments. However, reservations are required, so you do need to call 508-430-7550. And what could be better on a mid-February night than to sit and listen to the great sounds of the Sound Dunes, have free desserts and refreshments, and it's all hosted by the Harwich Council on Aging. So once again, Friday, February 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. right here at the Harwich Community Center, but you do need to reserve your spot.
Very good.
Yes.
Yes, and it's not too early to mark your calendar for Saturday, May 11th, for the Dave Birtwell Memorial Walk for Alzheimer's. This is going to be taking place from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Brooks Park in Harwich. The Alzheimer's Family Support Center of Cape Cod, they are sponsoring this, so this is to benefit them, and it's a family celebration. Barbecue and music by the Sound Dunes.
Oh, that's funny.
So right outside, that should be a fun...
On the same note.
Yeah, on the same note, music by the Sound Dunes and dancing. All proceeds fund free services from the Alzheimer's Family Support Center.
Oh, that's so
you don't have
important,
to
too.
walk to give, and you don't have to give to walk. So that's really
nice.
sounds like a nice afternoon. That's
Yes.
Saturday. It's not too early to mark your calendar. Saturday, May 11th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. right at Brooks Park. So that should be a very nice take.
Yes,
And
and with the age group that is central here on the Cape. Alzheimer's is an issue.
It is,
Yeah,
and any help
people
that...
do need support that are dealing with it in
That's
their
true.
family.
That's
Yeah.
true. Okay, very good. Now you have something else.
I do. On another up note, the Harwich Cultural Center on Sisson Road is having another open artists studio, and that is going to be held on Saturday, February 9th from 10 in the morning till 3 p.m. And you get to go in and watch the artists and talk to them and see what they do, and there's so many different artists. And we are going to be focusing on one today.
Yes, we are. Jesse Marcellet, I believe.
Yes.
And Dinah sat down with Jesse, and again, you know, there's so many talented people.
Yes.
And she is one of them.
I think it's a he.
Oh, he is one of
Yes.
them. Yeah, okay, thank you, Eileen.
That's okay.
I've never met him, so I didn't know. But I think we probably has seen the work because
Yes.
we've gone through there a few times.
Yes, we have.
It's just amazing what's going on at the Cultural Center. So let's see what Dinah has to say with Jesse.
Hello, I'm here at the Harwich Cultural Center, and I am doing the first artist spotlight, formal artist spotlight with one of the artists here, Jesse Marcellet of Marcellet Press and Lettering and Carving, is that right?
Letter carving.
Letter carving,
yeah.
Yes. So Jesse is one of the artists here in the space at the Cultural Center, and we thought it would be great to have a chance to talk with him about what he does here in his print shop.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful, wonderful space, and you'll see some pictures of that shortly. But first, I just wanted to know, can you tell me how you got your start in this field?
Sure. Well, so my background is in creative writing, and one of the advantages to the school that I went to out in Boulder, Colorado, is they had a letterpress print shop for students to dabble in typography and design and distribution. One of the ethos of the school was that you just don't wait for someone to give you a publishing deal. You got to do it yourself, and that really inspired me because I like working with my hands. I like learning a lot about the process, and I think that the process really is the exciting part, the doing of it. The fact that at the end of the process it results in a product is almost beside the point. But I really love engaging with people who have ideas for projects, whether it be a wedding invite or a business card, or on the printing side or on the carving side, I do signage and memorials and address numbers and that sort of thing. And I think in both cases, in printing and in carving, there have been more modern methods that have superseded the traditional crafts, and they're faster and cheaper. And I think for people who just need information, or they want something, like a run of menus for a restaurant, something where the craft of it is not really the most important thing, but the fact that the information needs to be distributed. I think those processes are much better equipped than letterpresses to handle those kinds of jobs. But I think for the wedding invite, or for the birthday invitation, something where a job that needs to be like conspicuously nicer, maybe a little bit more elegant, or just a better overall design. I think that's the people tend to come to me, and we collaborate for so that I can kind of help translate their idea into something that really represents their own sensibility. I mean, I'm happy to do work for myself, for my own amusement, because as I say, I love the process. But I think of my work as essentially a service craft. Doing it for people who actually want it. So.
Right. So you're really running a business.
Yes,
with
in a manner of speaking, yes.
With your printing in rather classic old ways, with some wonderful old equipment. Original equipment.
I'm very fortunate to have acquired on a fairly shoestring budget a lot of really desirable typefaces. Everything I print is from a metal handset metal type, and I've been fortunate to have been in the way of collections that have become available on the open market. And they're not making this equipment anymore, so you really have to kind of know either where it's available, or just be in some sort of cosmic grapevine where people refer others to people like me who are looking for these sorts of things all the time. I've had people come in, even since I've been here. A gentleman came in, his father was a printer, and he had some measuring equipment and just some old books that were on his shelf he didn't know what to do with, but he saw an article that someone had written about me and said, I thought, you know, another printer should have it. I think my father would really appreciate that. So in a way, I'm kind of bringing into my shop equipment that was used when the craft or when the process was the industrially viable method of printing. I mean, it wasn't.
So when would you date that to?
I would say up to 1970. The process of letterpress was really innovated by Johannes Gutenberg in the 15th century. I mean, this is a long, stable tradition that has a deep history. And there are a lot of people, especially in New England, who are doing it. Boston was a very large printing town and publishing town for a long time. And I think the fact that I'm here in New England puts me in the way of a lot of equipment because it's just, there was so much of it.
Right.
Around about 1970, the newer methods became perfected, and I think the captains of industry had no sentimentality about retaining all this equipment.
Yes,
they
moving right along.
Yeah, they're like, well, this stuff is, you know, theoretically dangerous if you don't know how to use it. It's heavy, it can be dirty, and they're not making new parts to replace, so if something breaks. But fortunately, I mean, this press was built in 1920, and it still runs like a charm. So if you know how to use it, if you know how to maintain and care for the equipment, then it will essentially last for at least my working lifetime, and hopefully whoever comes into the shop that I may teach.
And I'm sure you had to have a love of the craft in order to do it.
Yeah, I think there's a certain level of stubbornness that that becomes a virtue in this process, because there really is no substitute for just doing the work, and you have to make a lot of mistakes.
So true. Yeah.
And you have to, you know, I like the fact that there's an incremental aspect to it. You pull a proof, you know, you set your type, you have this idea, you go to the case, you set your type, you pull a proof, and then you know in the instant whether the time that you just spent was worthwhile and gives you something you can work with or push off from, or if it was just a huge waste of time. So I think one of the skills that I've developed over time is the ability to design in my head as I'm driving. So you know, watch out. You know, the idea that you can think and type, so that will kind of save you some time. When I get to the shop, I don't have to run off in some direction that maybe won't bear fruit. I already know which typeface I want to use, or at least the two that I want to balance against, so that I can show a client what it might look like in one typeface versus another.
I see.
And it's an economy, but it's still, there's no getting around to the fact that it's a slow process, because everything is done by hand.
Right. So do you ever have the opportunity to teach others this craft with this amazing equipment that you've been able to gather?
I have taught. I do a lot of sort of school visits. I've gone to various universities and done demonstrations. And I think now that I'm here in the old wood shop, I'm really eager to open it up to people who might want to learn a little bit about letterpress, letter carving, or calligraphy. I kind of cover a fairly wide general area. It's all related. I mean, printing types early on in the 15th century were inspired by manuscript calligraphy, and so there's essentially this unbroken thread of lettering and calligraphic arts that flow through the alphabet all the way back to the Roman era. So, and the fact that I do lettering in stone and wood is helps kind of bring it all together. I feel like I'm traveling at any given point. I'm on some coordinate on the spectrum of this great ancient tradition of letter arts and printing.
Right, and to be able to share it would be really great, and that's one of the things about being here at the Cultural Center, it seems to me, too. It's really a centrally located place, and people can find you, and it would be wonderful if you were able to share it with the community.
And I'm here every day, and I've been developing workshop formats. It's just hard to anticipate, you know, what people want to learn about. I could possibly do like a general open house, and people can just do a little bit of everything, or I could just offer like a, you know, personal letterhead workshop so people know what it's like to set type and pull an impression. And there are any number of different ways that it could go, but I think I would be most excited to work off of people's natural enthusiasm, because I think for the people who aren't necessarily interested in the minutia of typography or the time it takes to learn how to carve a letter, it can seem very dull. So I'm sensitive to that. So I find that there have been enough people who come through here to say, you know, they hang back after they've come through with a group, and they say, oh, this is actually kind of cool. Like, either can you do something for us? We want an address number, or you know, we need a memorial or something. Like they come back to sort of patronize the service, and then they also say, I'd really like to know how to do it myself. So I'm hoping to kind of harness some of that energy.
And build some kind of a group of people that might be interested in working further. Well, I remember at the open house, which is where I first met you, you demonstrated on a little press.
That's right.
Which was really a cool little thing. And there was a child here, as I recall, and it was very interesting for both the adults and that child
Yeah.
to see how you did it. It seemed very accessible to me.
Yeah.
And it's part of what interested me in talking with you further about it.
And
So,
that child's response is identical to the response that I had when I first encountered letterpress
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
an undergrad. I mean, there's this sort of childlike
see.
fascination with how things are made, because I think a lot of us are separated from the things we work on behind a screen. So you know, we use computers every day. We use phones that are like phenomenally sophisticated, but we don't necessarily know how they
we
work.
don't know what goes into
We
it.
don't. We don't
I
know
know.
who's looking at the other thing.
So
it's
true.
just
It's like
there's this-
slowing everything down a bit.
This really,
what
and
you're
the
doing
fact
here.
that it's
Right.
not. I mean, people say this. It's such a foreign process, but really, this was the
basic.
trial technology that got us to the computer.
I know.
So this plays a part in the
Yeah.
history of whatever modern technology you care to
It
focus on.
certainly does. Foreign. That's interesting. No,
So-
because it does seem like it would be the foundation. It's foundational, really, to
Yeah.
everything that we see now.
And the typefaces that we use in digital formats, and pixelated forms are the way they are because they originally, or many of them were in hot metal. They were pieces of type that
Yes.
printers like me handled and set and arranged in various designs. And a lot of those faces have been adapted to digital typography. And of course,
I see.
once a new platform becomes tested and market viable on an industrial scale, new forms are designed unique to that, like they say, born digital. There's
Sure.
so many
Yeah.
typefaces
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
quote unquote born digital
Oh, really?
that don't have any correlation to
yeah.
metal typography, but
No
there's still
connection.
enough out there
I see.
that there is a link back, even if people don't necessarily know what it is.
Right, right. So I know you work in wood as well, and
Yep.
so you have a project going on right now in
I
wood?
do, yeah. I'm
What is
really
that?
excited about this. It's a panel for the Yale Law School. It's a faculty lounge commemorative panel. They've endowed it on behalf of an illustrious former student and former dean as well. And so they came to me. I had done a project for them a couple years ago for the dining hall of the Yale Law School, and doing work in stone and wood, there's a similarity in that the result is the same, but the way that you carve letters in stone versus the way you carve them in wood are very different.
Of course,
So
yes.
in stone,
Totally
I can
different
carve
implements.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. In stone, I can use a single chisel to carve whatever shape you can throw at me. Whereas in wood, because you're dealing with a grain, which has a mind of its own, you need different tools for every different line, whether it's a curve or depending on the radius of the curve. So if you'll see, I have a wide array of tools for carving for letters in wood.
And how long would it take you to make a sign such as that? What is the time
I
frame
mean,
for a project like that?
Yeah, I mean, the projects like that, the scale of it, where I'm dealing with like over 150 letters of varying sizes, you have to kind of measure in weeks and months. I mean, I have a certain amount that I can carve on a good day, and then there are others where I don't quite make my quota. But it's again, it's a slow process. It's all done by hand, and the cost of no one cares if you make a mistake quickly. You know, it's the fastest way to ruin something is to be careless. And so I find that you know, stepping back and slowing down a little bit and really engaging with the material and obviously trying to work towards a deadline. I mean, obviously people want to have in hand the things they commission, but I feel like sometimes I have to kind of educate clients about the scale of the project and the time frames involved, because I think most people are used to just pressing a button and then having it be done somehow.
We certainly are.
Mysteriously on some other end.
Right,
Whereas
right.
I'm like, well, no, this is what goes into it. I have to design the letter forms. I have to arrange the lines and
Well, clearly it's
carve each
still very
letter.
valued.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful that you're finding people who do value this work
I'm
because
very,
it's
very
so
fortunate.
special.
Yeah, I've been blessed with the kind of clients that have found me
Right.
and the people that I've been put in contact with.
And it's the kind of work for a very deliberate and I would say perhaps perfectionistic person. I don't know you, but it seems that it would require that kind of patience and deliberation, really, to be able to do it.
It certainly does. It can be a certain. It can reach levels of mania that most people probably wouldn't appreciate. And I hear often, especially from my wife, she'll say, you know, you're the only person who knows that And it's not a mistake like it's a typo or you know, something
Right,
is
right.
like critically wrong. It's just maybe
That you would
stylistically or like
notice.
I just didn't
Yeah,
clean
sure.
something as carefully as I would have liked, but it passes the test otherwise. And she'll say, you
Yeah.
know, you're the only person in the world who knows that there's a problem. And I say, yes, that's one person too many.
Right.
So yes, it certainly requires a perfectionism, but it also, the realization that you're trying to achieve a human perfection and not machine perfection
Yeah.
is part of it, because you'll just drive yourself crazy. I mean, at
Right.
a certain point you have to kind of walk away and let it exist and let
Right.
the people who commission it enjoy it.
Right.
Because nobody
Right.
wants to be pointed out that like, hey, look at this is a mistake. It's like, well, is it really?
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that I really loved about coming in here is that it's almost like stepping back in time.
Yeah.
And so I think everyone needs to slow down a little bit. And it sounds like you need to take your time with your process.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love the fact that, you know, the floors here, the aroma of the old hardwood floors.
It smells so good,
you
too,
think
yeah.
they've been, it's this sort of, you know, many generations of student footwork go into
Yes,
making
yes.
the floors look the way they do and smell the way they
That's
do.
really a great way of looking at it,
And
yeah.
the fact that this was before, I mean, I know it's done, it's served time as an art studio, as a music room, but most recently it was the wood shop, which is what my
Yeah.
wife went to school here. It was a wood shop. And so I feel like there's a certain harmony in the level of engineering, the
Yes,
presses that I have and the kind of work that I'm doing. I feel like
for
in a way
sure.
I'm carrying it forward in
are,
a way that
yeah.
the walls recognize, even if
There's a
people-
resonance. There's a
people don't,
resonance
yeah.
of the past
Yeah.
here.
So
So it's wonderful that you're here and that you are
I'm delighted to be here.
wanting to share your work too. And I think it would be great for you to be able to open up and work with other people and have them come here and perhaps, you know, build their understanding of this art form and craft, because it really is extraordinary and wonderful, and you are very passionate about what you do.
Indeed. Well,
So, yeah.
the master printer that I worked under, John Christensen at Firefly Press in Boston, said, it's like the Latin Mass. It's not important that it's done everywhere, but it should be done somewhere. And I very much feel called to the work.
I see, yeah.
And
yeah.
I think that even in, you know, the context of just a local community, there are applications for the work that I do
Yeah.
that could satisfy a need that will otherwise go unaddressed.
And that
for
people
those
would
few
never
people-
know about.
Exactly, yeah. And that's
Exactly.
the thing too. No
Yeah.
one's walking around saying, you know, today's the day I'm going to commission a hand-carved
Right.
gravestone. But the fact that
Right.
that is available to people who appreciate that sort of thing, I think is very
Yeah.
important.
Well, it's the wonderful thing about artists, I think, in general, is that they bring their own soul and their own passion to
Yeah.
whatever they do, and
Absolutely.
they are able to share it with others who are then able to appreciate it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much for coming down. It's
yeah,
been a pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, talk about dedication,
Oh my
talent.
goodness, I know.
I mean,
and the ability to express himself so,
so
well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, talk about a very talented guy. What an artist. I mean, and that is just one example of the art that is going on at the Cultural Center.
And I believe that we're going to meet more artists.
Yes, I
every
think Dinah
week.
is going to.
Yes.
I hope she continues that
Yes.
series. That's
Great
a great
job,
series.
Dinah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was really great.
Yeah, thank you,
And-
Jesse.
And thank you, Jesse. Fantastic, and your work is just amazing. Folks, that is our show for this week. We really appreciate you joining us, and on behalf of Channel 18, thank you.
Yes, and please take advantage of all the things we told you about and stay warm.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye
Bye-bye.
for now.